Today I'll be explaining you regarding the neurosurgery procedure, posterior cervical decompression plus minus fixation. So as we age, our skin will have wrinkles, the heart will become weak. Similarly, the spine will also degenerate. Due to age-related degeneration or due to some changes like trauma or due to hardening of the soft tissue structures, there can be severe compression on the spinal cord and the nerve roots. The discs can also come out and cause the same sort of compression. Over a long period of time, there will be severe damage to the spinal cord and the nerve roots, which we call as myelomalacia, and in that case, the patient will develop various symptoms like severe neck pain, arm pain, radiating pain, paresthesia, tingling, numbness in the arms and legs, difficulty walking, stiffness in the legs, giddiness, imbalance while walking, sometimes bowel bladder issues also. In the late stages, so many patients they present to us with a condition known as quadriparesis, which means weakness of all the four limbs and hands. In such a condition, it is very important to operate and remove the compression from the spinal cord. So in this surgery, once the pre-operative workup is done, patient is admitted, we will be doing head shave of the patient, and once the patient is shifted inside OT and general anesthesia has been given, the patient head will be fixed on clips and it will be turned and there will be incision given from the head to the neck. We will be opening up. So from behind, we will be removing the structures and we will be decompressing the spinal cord from behind so that the spinal cord will be free from behind and it will have more space. If at all in some patients, if there is some instability in the bones, then we might require to put screws, metal plates or rods and fix to sort that instability. After the surgery is done, we will be placing a drain pipe and we will be suturing the skin incision, turning the patient on the back in sleeping position again and removing the pins and clips that were used to fix the head. Once it is done, we want to get the patient out of general anesthesia, out of ventilator support, and we will be shifting the patient to recovery area where the patient will be observed for 3 to 4 hours, and once everything is fine, we might shift him to room or ward. In any circumstances, if we feel that the patient is not breathing properly or if not coming out of GA or ventilator support, or if it is a high-risk patient or old-aged patient, we might decide to keep the patient in ICU for 1 or 2 days for observation. In the post-operative period, on the day of surgery, the patient won't be given any food or water to drink. Once he passes some gas or flatus, we'll be starting some liquids on the next day of surgery, and if everything is fine, we will be making the patient wear a C-collar and walk. In case the patient has already presented to us with some sort of deficits or some sort of weakness of hands or legs in which pre-operatively itself the patient was bedridden or not able to walk, then after the surgery on day 1 of surgery, we might do wheelchair ambulation instead of ambulation while walking. On day 2 after surgery, once the patient passes some motions, we will be starting soft tide, and if there were any bladder issues, then we might remove the catheter. In 3 to 5 days, once the drain quantity comes down, we might discharge the patient, and after 10 days of discharge, the patient has to come for review and suture removal, wherein if the wound is good, we might remove the sutures. Post-operatively, after 10 days, after the sutures are removed, the next visit will be around 3 months, wherein if any neurological deficit is there, patient will have to do aggressive and active physiotherapy and also take care with respect to no bending, no heavy weight lifting and no sudden neck movements and wearing of the collar. The goal of the surgery is first to free all the nerve roots and the spinal cord, prevent any further sort of damage to the spinal cord and the nerve roots. Whatever neurological deficits that already the patient has post-surgery, we can try to improve with physiotherapy. But our aim is to prevent any further sort of neurological deficits. Stabilize the spine, reduce the symptoms of the patient like neck pain, tingling, numbness, paresthesias, tightness. If possible, through a long period of time, have some amount of improvement in bowel bladder function also. Sometimes in patients where there is gross instability of the spine and gross weakness of all the four hands and limbs, which is seen in a lot of patients of trauma where due to sudden jerky movement there was a gross displacement of the spine and damage to the spinal cord. Doing the surgery and fixing the spine helps in stability and better mobility of the patient. Over a long period of time with physiotherapy, we can try to improve powers of the patient. The surgery can lead to better mobility and can improve the quality of life of the patient. Like any surgery, even this surgery will have 1 to 10% of complications. First is bleeding. Any surgery we are doing, the risk of complication of bleeding is there, for which we will be reserving blood. If required, blood transfusion might have to be done. Second is infection, wound infection, surgical site infection, rarely spinal infection. Third is CSF leak or cerebrospinal fluid leak, that is the fluid of the spine which can leak out due to dural puncture or dural tear, and it can leak out of the wound or come in drain, which might need regular suturings. And it can also lead to delayed wound healing and delayed suture removal. Again, it can happen in 2 to 3% of cases. Next, as I told, our aim is to prevent any further neurological deficit which has already occurred, even during the surgery. So 1% chances of developing weakness, some weakness of the movements, or even weakness of the full limbs. In any case, if we are fixing the spine with the screws, rods or plates, then there are chances of implant infection, implant loosening or implant displacement. Whatever implants we are placing, they are 100% compatible with the body. They will stay in the body throughout the life, and unlike the orthopedic implants, they need not be removed after a certain period of time. The only indication where we might need to open and remove the implants or reposition the implants is if at all they develop any infection or they get displaced. The cervical spine is very much responsible for maintaining the BP and the pulse. So intraoperatively there can be chances of fluctuations in BP pulse, sudden fall of BP, sudden fall of pulse, and requiring of some supports to maintain that BP pulse for a brief period of time also. So rarely the patient can develop such hemodynamic changes intraoperatively and rarely transiently post-operatively also. Patient can develop some bowel bladder issues post-surgery. If these issues are there already from the beginning, then they might aggravate post-surgery. There can be need of prolonged catheterization if the patient already had some bladder issues. The cervical spine is also responsible for controlling the breathing because it controls the respiratory muscles. So post-surgery, there can be difficulty in getting the patient out of ventilator support. Post-surgery, if there is any weakness or need for tracheostomy, that is very commonly happens in trauma patients. Then the patient might need long-term rehabilitation care after discharge from the hospital. Definitely, any surgery under general anesthesia is a surgical stress to the body with respect to heart, lungs, kidney. So there are rare occurrences of any development of cardiac event or decline in cardiac parameters intraoperatively or can happen even postoperatively. Rarely, the patient can have bowel issues with respect to diarrhea and constipation, difficulty passing gas, difficulty passing motions. We might have to take gastro opinion for that. It can also happen in 1% of cases, and mostly it is more commonly seen in trauma patients who are bedridden and who have developed all four limbs weakness. And definitely, we are doing a surgery under general anesthesia, which is a C-spine surgery, 0.5 to 1%. Life risk can also be there. Mostly posterior cervical decompression we do under neuromonitoring. So neuromonitoring is a device which is connected intraoperatively to the patient, which monitors the nerve function when we are doing the surgery. It will show in a computer nerve function in the form of electrical signals. So while we are doing the surgery, if there is any form of variation in those electrical signals, immediately we can stop and we can safeguard the patient for developing any further weakness. So overall, if the patient is having multiple levels severe compression with ligament hardening or severe spinal cord damage, definitely early surgery is the option to improve further quality of life and function and to prevent further damage and further neurological deficits.